Senator Fatima Payman joins Six News now for her very first interview since crossing the floor. Senator, good evening.
Good evening, Leo. Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you here. So, have you actually spoken to any of your Labor colleagues since you made that decision, and have any actually supported what you did?
Thanks for that question. I've had many welfare checks from colleagues both in the Senate and in the House of Reps. Many have shown, their support to my mental health and making sure that I don't feel alone. But yeah.
You've obviously been very public on your stances regarding Gaza, both before and after this vote. You were, I think, rebuked by the Prime Minister for saying from the river to the sea, and it was only a couple of weeks ago. How have you felt in terms of your treatment by other Labor MPs and senators? Have you felt shunned or bullied at any point?
Look, there's been a mixed response, as I mentioned in the presser after crossing the floor. Obviously, there's been the reception of me crossing the floor or my statement on 15th of May has upset a few colleagues of mine. It has made some feel that there's been unfair judgment that's been passed on what I've done. And today I heard that there may be extra penalties. That's yet to be found out because there's a letter that's going to the National Secretariat. So that's yet to be determined. And like yourself, I just await to read newspaper articles in the morning.
I think the question everyone wants to know at this point is, will you quit the Labor Party?
Look, when I was crossing the floor, I crossed it knowing that there was going to be the potential expulsion as a consequence. But when I was crossing the floor, it was for my conscience and also understanding that I was standing for the ethos of the Labor Party, what we have put in the platform, what our rank and file members have asked for, what my West Australian constituents have called on, the young people that I've met, whether it's been on encampments, whether it's been during door knocking or at schools I visit. This has been the clear ask. And I've had communities reach out from Perth, Sydney, Melbourne, and, Victoria, New South Wales, rather. I don't want to just, geographically constrain them, but there's been a wide range of communities reaching out to me saying, I wish my local member would, follow you or be able to stand for a just resolution for Gaza, for Palestine. But this is about justice. This is about doing the right thing and being on the right side of history. And I just implore that and hope that by me continuing within the party, I can convince my colleagues to come on board.
I know obviously the party platform of the Labor Party does call for a two-state solution, and there are plenty of pro-Palestine rank and file members, as you've mentioned. But do you think a position like yours, which was directly crossing the floor to directly call for a Palestinian state and really overtly pro-Palestinian positions, do you think that is welcomed right now in terms of in the federal party room and with the current caucus?
I can't speak for my colleagues and everyone else within my caucus, but what I do know and what I've seen and witnessed is the long-term advocacy of many of my colleagues, some that have advocated longer than I've been on this earth for. So it is really important for me to ensure that what I've done isn't just a once-off gesture, but rather I know that this is part of an incremental move towards recognizing Palestine, but also it's about reinstating that hope within our communities, showing them that, yes, we do listen, we are representing your voices, and also it's important that, we were elected to be standing up for our values. It's not a homogenous caucus, so I do understand that, there's various perspectives within a caucus, but it is important in matters like this that we get to vote without conscience.
We saw Louise Pratt, your WA colleague, say in The Australian last night that a Senate vote won't create peace in the Middle East. Does she have any point when she says that?
Like I said, this is an incremental step. This is an opportunity for the Australian government to recognise Palestine as part of that, towards that peace process. But you can't acknowledge two states where one of those states are not recognised as a state, right? So it is really important for that first step, and it's important for our national interest, as it will, within our middle power region, as a middle power, it will place Australia in a position where we can lead, and encourage other like-minded nations to follow suit. If countries like Ireland and Spain and Norway and Armenia can join, recognizing Palestine, why can't Australia?
And obviously, when you did cross the floor, you were walking with Senator David Pocock there, and also I believe Maureen Faruqi's called you a friend. Have you had any discussions with the crossbench about a potential defection, and are you feeling supported by them? Given, of course, there are a number of people on the crossbench, the Greens, the main party, who have taken the same stance on Palestinian recognition as you.
No, so they have been great colleagues, as I have many great colleagues, including Ross Cadell. Shout out to him. But I must say that this isn't me trying to indicate that there is anything to read in between the lines over here. When I was voting, it was me voting with my conscience and doing what was right. And ensuring that I represented the voice of West Australians, young people, the communities that had reached out to me, and the voices of our rank and file members. This wasn't to appease the Greens or to have these discussions, because, to be frank, I haven't had any discussions with David Pocock about this, for example. It just so happened that we entered the chamber together, and it was, there was a spot next to his staffer in the advisor's box, and that's where I went and sat.
Gotcha. Now, I think we alluded to it before with the newspaper reports. The Prime Minister, he has asked you not to attend Labor caucus meetings for the rest of the session. And we also saw in The Australian last night, and you did mention it, that there are a number of Labor members who are sending or discussing sending a letter to the party's national executive calling for further punishments against you. Do you believe at this point that you will at any point return to the Labor caucus, or that you'll be fully suspended or even expelled from the wider party?
I have no idea. And like everyone else, I'm just awaiting to see what judgment gets passed down. But like I said, I think that I've been holding on to my Labor values throughout this whole entire process. And I believe that there are many people, I'm not alone in this, there are many people, not just within this building, but outside in the communities, that feel the same way.
So would you, like to stay in the party? Do you hope to stay, regardless of maybe
I've got
some
my Labor
discontent
Party
from others?
values. I still have my Labor Party values, and people not being overly supportive or eager to jump on board won't derail me from, continuing to vote with my conscience, but also advocating for this very important cause.
Senator Fatima Payman, thanks very much for joining us on 6 News. Hope to speak again in the future.
Thank you, Leo.